How's it going, YouTube? Hey, just wanted to share a couple of mods and first cooks on my Old Country G2. This is my first offset smoker. Super happy that I picked this one. I think it's a great beginner's offset, and it's done me right so far, the 4 cooks that I've done. I'm using Tel-Tru thermometers that I got off of Amazon. I'll put the links in the description. I've got my log cutter down there. That thing works out great. If you don't have a good place to split logs with an axe, this thing is pretty stable, and it'll make quick work of splitting your splits into smaller splits. And you really do need smaller splits for this offset because the firebox is insulated and it's really very efficient. Right here I'm just showing some of the gear I've got hanging off, some of the stuff I use to manipulate the wood in the firebox or the coal bed. That shovel comes in handy for moving that coal bed around. When I went looking for this smoker, it came to my attention after watching some YouTube videos that they've fairly recently made some additional improvements to this smoker. And I had a little bit of a difficult time trying to find dealers who had inventory that was fresh and not sort of the inventory that came before these mods. One of the mods that they did were full-length rails over the grates. That way when you're sliding the grates in and out, they won't tip down on you, maybe dump your food on the ground. That would suck. The other thing that they've done is the top grate is now bigger, and I'll show that here in just a minute. One problem I had with this smoker was one of these bolt and nut assemblies was just too tight, and after the smoker was used a couple of times, I just could not open this vent door at all. This is the vent door on the actual door of the firebox, and I ended up having to use a flapper wheel right there behind that nut to remove some material because I didn't want to cut the nut or try and bust the tack weld on the nut. So that's what I elected to do, and now I can at least move the door. But you can see some of these nuts are looser than the other ones, and that's the one I had trouble with. It's definitely tighter than all of the others. But after that mod, I'm good to go. This is the mod I did on my ball valve so that I could hang a grease bucket. This, seems to work very well. That bucket's not going anywhere. You can see I used a Dremel tool just to cut a notch into the ball valve right there. And then I can hang the bucket with liners. It makes it really easy. And here's the liner after 4 cooks. I just almost overflowed that thing. But you can see that even when it was completely full, it was very stable. I had 0 spills of grease while using this thing over the first 4 cooks. So I was really happy with the way that this modification turned out, and suggest, that if you're looking for a way to hang a grease bucket, maybe you look into that. I'll also leave a link to the grease bucket and the ball valve that I used down in the description. My smoker's got the new full-length rails over the grates. That way the rails won't tip down when you're sliding them in and out, or you slide them out to spritz your meat or whatnot. That is one of the improvements that they've done on the G2s, and I suggest if you're looking at these and you've got a chance to buy a G2 with the mod, do that. Also, the top grate is 12 inches deep now instead of about 8 inches, so that gives you more room for pitmaster snacks or hot links, whatever you want to do up there while you're cooking your main cook down below. This is the layout that I've used for the first few cooks. Pretty good sized water pan. A couple of grate probes ahead and behind the meat. I've kind of used the baffle and the tuning plate. I've used them both, but I haven't used them in their traditional locations. The baffle, since it's removable or movable, I slid that, sort of well away from the firebox, and then I used the tuning plate, and I've got kind of gaps in between that and the baffle as well. This was just sort of a slightly educated guess on what might give me some good flow while also protecting my meat, and so far it's worked out pretty well. This is a cover that I found. It was recommended by another YouTuber, and it fits very well. If it had provisions for a taller smokestack, actually, it would fit perfect. As it is right now, it does leave one side of the, or one end of the cover a little bit high. I'll show you that here in a second, but comes all the way to the ground on this one side, and then on the smokestack side, it's a little bit off the ground, but actually it protects everything very well. It's a very high quality cover. It's a good value, especially for what they're asking for it, and I'm pretty happy with the selection that I made on the cover. So I'll wrap this up with just some shots of the cooks that I've done so far. It's pretty easy to keep this smoker rocking at a consistent temperature. I probably just got lucky with placement of the baffle and the tuning plate, but it's real easy to keep the smoker at a consistent temperature front to back or end to end, however you want to look at it. So I'm real happy with that. If you're new to offset smoking, I will tell you that you're going to want an easy chair, you're going to want a place to hang out while you're tending to the fire, and an easy up or some sort of shade. Probably not a bad idea either. You know, get your cigars and your bourbon and just kind of hang out by the fire. It's a lot of fun. My first cook, I did a pork butt. I wanted something that was very forgiving and cheap, and this pork butt turned out awesome. That fat cap split real nice, just like you like it when it's ready to go, and it turned out great. I cooked a ham for Easter. This was a spiral cut ham, and I did a cherry apple bourbon glaze for it. So this was double smoked, and everybody really liked it. I also cooked a couple racks of spare ribs. Got them both down on the bottom grate towards the smokestack, no problem. They turned out great. Didn't get any pictures of them. They were just sort of eaten real quick. But this is my most recent cook. It's a brisket. You can see that fat just rendered out perfectly. It's perfectly caramelized, and the brisket was super juicy and no crispy spots, no dry spots. It was just awesome. So that'll about wrap up this video. I've rambled on enough. Long story short, really happy with my selection of the Old Country G2. Could not recommend it more for the price. I think you're getting a whole lot of smoker. I think it probably competes pretty well with some of the more famous quarter-inch smokers out of Texas that you could easily spend $5,000 on. So if you're in the market for an offset, treat yourself to something nice to start, and I think you could not do better than the Old Country G2.